things I'm saying right now is that people are people. And I don't give a shit what color your skin is. And I'm so tired of racism and people not getting along because of the color of their skin that I could just scream. So screaming it ain't gonna get me heard, but painting people of all races and colors, maybe that'll get me heard.
Hello everybody, welcome to Artist Talks. I am Broderick, one of your hosts, and today we have visual artist Karen Adams, and we're going to talk about sculpting your life. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm so glad to be here with y'all.
So, just like you heard me said, sculpting your life. You are well known for your sculpting, your painting, you're the embodiment of art to me. So,
oh,
yeah.
so sweet.
No, of course, like we're literally in your art. It's cool. It's really cool to be included into it. So I definitely wanted to focus on your journey, what you've done to get where you're at today, and also just like learn together and also learn more about you, about what you've done and the sacrifices you've made to sculpt your life to be where it's at right now. So can you just give us like a little brief introduction, your name, what you do, and yeah, just a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm Karen Adams. I knew when I was 5 years old that I wanted to be an artist.
Wow.
Drawing with crayons, drawing with chalk, I just knew. My parents were supportive, thank God. My mother encouraged me to take art classes, and I began my first training probably when I was in 3rd grade. Learned to paint in oils and do charcoals. There was a class, we lived in Nashville, Tennessee for a brief time, and there was a class at the Children's Museum. It was very, very important in my development, I think, at the time. And in high school, I pursued photography and painting and drawing.
Really? A fellow photographer?
I was the newspaper photographer,
Nice.
the musket.
Yeah.
So when I was beginning to think about college, I did have a little bit of a quandary. I thought maybe I should go into photography. Maybe it would be more lucrative. But once I got to UGA Art School, I knew that I wanted to stay in painting.
Oh, so you're a dog.
So I'm a bulldog, born and bred, and was born in Athens, actually. So to go back to school there was full circle for me.
That's cool.
I had no idea what it meant to be an artist.
Yeah.
I really didn't have a clue.
I know it's tough too.
It's tough, but I went in those classes and I soaked them up like a sponge. And when I went in my first figure drawing class, that's when I knew I'd found my place.
Okay.
The figure is the consistently most important imagery in my body of work.
Yeah, so
across my life.
Goes to like the bodies you draw, like the figure, the human body.
The
figure.
human body.
Okay.
So, in the course of my life, I have done landscapes, I've done still lifes, but the figure is what I always come back to. And because I love the figure so much, I decided I've got to learn how to describe it in a different way.
Yeah.
It's not enough to do it 2D, it's not enough to draw, it's not enough to paint. I've got to do it in 3D. I've got to learn to sculpt.
Oh, so that's what sculpting came into play.
Sculpting only came into play 7 years ago.
Wow.
So, but because I had this background of drawing the figure from life and having done it for so many years, it made the 3D come easily.
Yeah.
It made sense.
Because you already understand the shadows of this natural life in general.
You just understand the body proportions and the shapes of the body.
Okay.
You just understand it better.
Yeah.
So one thing when I was little that I look back on, somebody asked me about this the other day, about what was it when you were little and what was it about art? So when I was a little girl, I had respiratory problems.
Okay, like asthma?
It was close to asthma.
Okay.
So I had a vaporizer at night in my bedroom. And I remember looking and seeing in the steam shapes.
That's cool. Yeah.
Faces, animals, whatever.
Yeah.
And I would see shapes. And that's a thing that continued all of my life. When I take a shower now, there's this little place in the marble, and it's a horse head. And I can't see it as anything else but a horse head. There is a place, I went to school in Montana my junior year of college.
Okay.
And there was a place in the landscape where you go through a gorge and you're driving down the road, and I would look up and I would see the shape that looked like Toto, the dog from The Wizard of Oz.
Love that, yeah.
And so I think artists just see differently and process the information differently.
Oh, that's actually interesting. That reminds me of one of my favorite artists that Justin makes fun of all the time, Pharrell Williams. And it's cool. They say it's an ability. I don't want to say a disability, but an ability. But he sees sounds.
Oh,
yeah. So he hears
cool.
music, but he sees like the sounds of it. And like that's what helps him, create his music as well. And that's why he's in my opinion, one of the greatest producers ever.
So cool. And I'm so in awe of musicians. I really am. And most of my artwork is created while listening to music.
Okay, see?
So it moves me and it reaches me in a different place. And I don't know, I can't imagine creating without music.
Yeah. So, Miss Karen, how has art been influential and important to your life?
I can't separate it out from my life. I could not anymore take it out of my life than I could take a finger off. It is so ingrained in who I am that I don't know how to answer the question.
Wow.
Because I know that that's who I am,
Yes.
and that's why I'm on the planet.
A big thing about Artist Talks is that we like to pick people who we find successful in whatever they do. And we also want to take some of your wisdom from your experience and be able to share that out to everybody as well. So when it comes to what you've been doing, how have you been generating success in your art?
So success is one of those funny words.
Yeah, it's relative.
It is totally relative. Success is when I block out all negativity and focus on my art and just don't allow anything negative to interfere, whether it's in the studio and it's my own voices in my head saying, oh, well, why did you do that? That doesn't really look so good. If I cannot judge myself while I'm creating art and I cannot listen to the judgment of others, that is successful art to me.
How do you block that out then, the judgment of others specifically? Because that can get to us as artists.
It does get.
Especially when you want to share it too and you're so excited about it.
It is. And you have to get a thick skin. And you just know that your skin has to be thick and you keep moving forward. Success as an artist. I feel that, well, I'll just say, my goal was to be in the art history books by the time I turned 50.
Yeah.
That was how I defined success when I was a younger artist. It didn't happen. I'm not in the art history books, but I don't feel that I'm unsuccessful. I feel like I'm still making art. The number of artists who go to art school, and by the time they're my age, they haven't done any art in 25 years. Their art is their garden. And so I'm successful because I'm continuing to do it. I'm continually inspired by it. And that's success.
So one thing too, that just from following you and seeing everything and talking to you as well, and having the honor and pleasure of doing that.
So sweet.
Of course. I gotta talk because you're being very humble right now, and I love it. But Missy Elliot, let's talk about that. Let's talk about, because we don't really get to talk about that too much. How was that? Because that's a part of your success for me as well. Like you're working with big name people. People are reaching out to you. You're at a point now where you don't necessarily have to market, that's successful for artists as well. So like, how did you get to that point? Like, what have you done to establish those connections to get to those, opportunities that you've been able to have?
I embraced Instagram as a way to market about 7 years ago.
Okay.
And that has been a wonderful tool for people. I don't have to leave my house and people see my art. And it's been a great tool. So I put myself out there and I'm like, here's my art, here's my art. But the very exciting thing was to get that phone call from a woman saying that she was with an art department that was doing a Missy Elliot video, and would I be interested in doing a bust of Missy Elliot? And so I have to say, I was a little scared. So that's the other thing you have to, because it's that imposter syndrome.
Gotcha.
You think, oh, am I going to be good enough to do that? And I really had not been sculpting that long.
You had imposter syndrome.
Oh, of course.
Wow.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course
Wow.
I did.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of us have confidence issues at different times in our lives. And because sculpting was relatively new to me, it didn't feel as comfortable. You know, I felt like I could have done a watercolor portrait of her or a drawing.
Yeah.
But to come in there and sculpt. And then to learn that the parameters they needed it in 4 days.
Oh, yeah, because we know how that is. We love that. Oh, give us 4 days. Okay, I got you. Sure.
I'm like, sister, you don't understand how clay works. So I had to educate myself. I knew that there was something called air dry clay.
Okay, a little bit
And
quicker.
very quick.
Okay.
And I had to improvise. I learned so much making that Missy Elliot bust about myself.
Wow.
About how I can rise to the occasion. So that's the other part of success is being aware that when opportunity comes, you have to be ready.
Yeah.
You have to be ready.
Even with that, then let's talk about resilience and the importance of resilience, because that's also, I'm guessing, a part of that chapter as well that you had to learn.
Resilience in what way?
So in the way of just being able to keep on going no matter what. Like you said, you had the imposter syndrome and all that as well, but you still made it happen. You had a deadline of 4 days. You still made it happen.
You just have to do it. I mean, there are times that we all have to quietly go, you know, in our room for a while and lick our wounds when we get a rejection letter from a show, or maybe we didn't get that invitation that we thought we would get to participate in an art project. But you just have to get over your bad self and just decide that this is going to bounce off of me. I am Teflon. I'm directing my life, not these rejections.
Yeah, and when one door closes, so many more open up as well.
Well, and there's a lot of truth to that, as much as it's a cliche.
Exactly.
There's a lot of truth to that. So I just think that believing in yourself, and I'm a big believer in learning as much as you can. So I do continuing education workshops.
So important. I'm glad you do that. So you are, because I know you do teaching as well.
I teach.
Yeah, but you also learning.
I do.
Learning as
you
well.
never stop learning. You never stop learning. I am going to be taking a workshop at Penland in North Carolina.
And you're taking this workshop. I'm
not instructing it.
Okay.
I want to learn about metal work so that I can incorporate it into my sculpture making.
Yeah.
So I think growth is everything. Stagnancy is nothing. You are dead in the water if you're stagnant.
Especially in the art world, right?
In the art world, yes. And I look at artists. There are those out there who have been doing the same imagery for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, man, how can you? Are you not bored to death? How can you do that? What about something new?
Exactly. But like even like with that too, like because I've noticed in the art world specifically as well, like you have your Ansel Adams, you know, they're known for a certain style, so therefore they might maintain that certain style for a while because that's what they're known for. That's what brought them success.
Well, and we get back to that scary word, success. I am not a good candidate for a gallery.
Okay.
And the reason is because I'm experimental.
Yeah, your pieces are very diverse.
They are, and I'm constantly reaching forward to that piece that I don't know how to do, that is out there, and I can't even picture it, but it's out there, and I want it so bad. I can't sit there and just churn out like cupcakes.
Wow.
I just can't do it. I'm constantly pushing.
So, all right, here's an important thing I've learned about art recently, and that's the importance of brand identity. Because even looking around your studio right now, all these things are very different, but everything is still saying Karen Adams, Karen Adams, Karen Adams, Karen Adams. So how do you maintain your brand identity while also having, I guess, differentiated pieces?
I don't think about it.
So is this really just you?
It is so intuitive the way I work, and I hope that you say you do, Broderick, so I'm gonna believe you do.
Yeah, no, I do.
That you look around and you can see that this is a 2-dimensional and it's a Karen Adams, and here's a 3-dimensional, and that there's a thread of commonality.
Yeah.
But I don't think about it. I work so it's just intuitive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. No,
But
I
it's
like that.
but it's always gonna, I'm always pushing the figure, whether it's 2D or 3D. I'm pushing the figure, whether it's an oil painting like this, or watercolor and ink, or pool tiles and clay. It's about pushing the figure.
So can you expand more about the importance of being yourself and authenticity?
Oh, it's key. It's
So
key.
have you seen if your colleagues, like some of them have not been as authentic, or they're withholding a part of themselves from their art or from the public, and how it affects their art?
I think that there is a slickness that comes when you get too caught up in the market. It's in visual art, it's in literature, it's in music, and it's very calculated and predicated on what has been successful. So let's stay within this vein,
Yeah.
and that makes me want to run the other way.
What has been the use of emotion in your art, and also would you have any words to share with other people to use those emotions for generating their success, or generating their quality of art, and also their I guess what you define as success is their satisfaction with the art and the output of it?
That's a very complicated question.
Right?
I don't know how you can make art and not be emotional and not put yourself in it, because it's such a tactile thing. When I'm drawing, I'm just getting lost in it. The feel of my hand on the paper, the shapes I'm creating. When I'm working in clay, it's just so tactile, and you're caught up in the making. My emotions are always in it. I mean, it's a hard question. I'm not sure I'm answering it fully.
No, please, because even with that, like you said, do you draw or paint or sculpt at different times? Are you a happy drawer, but then a more emotional sculptor, or have you been using those for your advantage when it comes to an outlet for yourself?
So am I using it like a medication?
Like therapy.
Or like therapy? All I know is if I didn't do it, I would need some serious therapy. It's just so integrated. I think what you're trying to get at is okay, so here's maybe an answer to your question. One of my sons was dating a woman that I felt like was not a good situation for him.
Gotcha.
I felt like it was a very enmeshed situation. And a friend of mine who's an artist said, Karen, why don't you try to work out something sculpturally? Just see where it goes. So I created a maquette of
What's that?
a maquette is a small sculpture that you would use as a prototype.
Okay.
So you would create, this is not the way I work now, but I have worked this way. You create a small sculpture and then you use that as your prototype to make a big one.
Oh, that's cool actually. Yeah, I like that. All right.
So, and I can show you examples of that. But I created this maquette of this man and woman who were struggling. They were attached and they were struggling to get away from one another. So that's the only time I've ever done that. I can't say, I mean, feelings of anger or sadness or joy, those go out the window when I'm creating. It's about the process is everything, Broderick, because if you think about it, if you don't love the process, why would you wouldn't continue to do it.
Yeah.
If you were only making art because you were interested in the end product.
Yeah.
And you hated going, oh man, I hate schlepping this clay. I hate doing.
That's part of the journey.
That once it's done, it's over. You've got a product there, but the joy is the process. And I think a musician must feel that way in writing a song and getting it recorded. I think a writer must feel that way when they're writing a book, and it's the process of creating those characters. And when it's over, it's over. And so that's why you're off to the next thing that you can't quite see it in your brain, but you know it's out there, and you're just like, I'm not sure what it is, but I'm going for it.
So it's just like it's a continuous, journey in life.
It is just like life.
I love
art
that.
and life.
Okay.
They're just the same.
No, that
it's
makes
just
sense.
putting one foot in front of the other every day.
And just keep on going.
Yeah, and you had asked me at one point about my routine.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not the poster child for that really. Some days I will work 8 and 10 hour days, and there may be 2 weeks where I go working 4 or 5 hours a week.
Wow. A week?
Yeah, a week. I'm really like this. And again, that's life.
Yeah.
And it's my internal rhythm. And
so don't beat yourself on that.
don't beat yourself up too badly.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than telling yourself, oh, damn it, I haven't been in the studio. I need to get in there.
Yeah.
Oh, what am I? And you go in there and it,
You're just making it a routine. So, all right. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because in this culture, everything is so fast.
It is.
And everyone's pushing content. We talked about that on the last episode as well. So even now, then, can you just, for all the artists out there watching this right now, what would you say to them about content? Would you tell them to stop, slow down? Like, what would you say to them?
You just need to you need to be authentic to you and look at your motivation. Who are you trying to please? You trying to please that gallery owner? You trying to please your boyfriend? I don't know. If you're being true to yourself, that's what you've got to be. But listen, I'm 63 years old. It takes a while
Still
to even know.
Don't believe that.
To even know who you are.
Yeah.
God, I remember when I was in college and my professor he had served in Vietnam.
Wow.
And he did these incredible paintings. They were abstractions and they were just so beautiful. But they were very much motivated by his time as a soldier in Vietnam. And I remember just sitting there and thinking, I was like, man, I am 18 years old. You are 52 years old. And you have lived this life. You have so much to say. I don't even know what I have to say yet at 18.
That's crazy. So even now, do you feel like you have something to say now?
I do.
Okay, good.
I do. I'm glad you asked me that. Do you want to know what one of the things I'm saying right now?
Please.
One of the things I'm saying right now is that people are people. And I don't give a shit what color your skin is. And I'm so tired of racism and people not getting along because of the color of their skin that I could just scream. So screaming it ain't gonna get me heard, but painting people of all races and colors, maybe that'll get me heard.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I am sculpting or painting or drawing, I really, it's all about humanity and our spirits.
Yeah.
And is it pretty, the colors of the skin? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They're also beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I have a kind of little series of watercolor drawings of two models, a young black woman and an older white man. And they have taken on these pseudonames, Buck and Sadie.
Nice.
So we have the adventures of Buck and Sadie.
Sounds like a great book.
It's fun. And if people could see behind the scenes when we're cutting up and I'm creating and they're creating their characters and they're in the pose. I don't know. I hope, it is my sincere hope that in some little way my art can help people think,
I
hey,
believe so.
we're just all,
For sure.
we're all people, man.
Yeah, because you're making it a part of the norm. You're making that diversity part of the norm, which it should be.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes.
That's cool. I'm glad you mentioned that because that's funny. A lot of people we don't talk about, race is such a hidden topic nowadays.
Well, it's a hot topic
It's
for
a very
sure.
hot topic as well.
I had a model come into the studio and she said, Karen, I can't tell you. She said, I've modeled for several white artists. Yours is the first studio I've been in that has black models on the wall.
Wow.
And I said,
Wow.
well, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I just...
Especially in your art world too, because in photography I've seen that, of course, but when it comes to sculpting or painting, that I know few artists that do it, but most of them are black, so that makes sense why they have black subjects as well. But I don't remember even going. I went to the Metropolitan Museum in New York with my girlfriend last week. And
oh, fun!
Yeah,
I'm so jealous you were
really
up
cool.
there.
But
Yay.
we didn't see that much black art.
Oh well, of course it's
Like
the Metropolitan.
Yeah.
You got to go to a gallery. You go to a current.
Exactly. We had to, and it's crazy because even with that in the art world, the depiction of most black people were stuck in still in the slavery times, or maybe before that in the more ancient civilization times as well.
Right.
But it's nothing that's current. There's nothing like the gentleman you have right behind you.
Yeah.
We don't see things like that. So it's cool that you're making that a norm. That's my whole point.
It should be a norm.
Mm-hmm.
It should be a norm.
If you were speaking to yourself when you first started this whole journey, would you say anything specific? Or if you were speaking to someone who's just starting this journey now and they might feel like, oh, maybe this is not for me, or I'm scared, the fear of the unknown, what would you say to them being a little bit more experienced in your journey in life when it comes to your art?
Well, you really can't tell an 18-year-old anything.
True. Let's start off with that.
They don't have the ears to hear. If they had the ears to hear it, I would tell them to dream big. And if art is the direction you want to go, if you want to be a visual artist, learn all you can, do it as much as you can, and then do a self-check and say, do I really love this? The other thing is, if you're going to need to make money, you're probably going to need to have another job.
Yeah, please talk about that a lot more, because I do art, a lot of our crew, we do art as well, but this is not our job. This is something we do. We do it for work as well. We love to do it, but
you have other jobs to generate income.
Income, exactly.
Yeah, I have always had to have other jobs. I don't now, but I have worked in frame shops, I've worked retail, I had a business for a number of years working with seniors, doing transportation for them.
That was a part of your journey to get where you're at.
It was a part of my journey to help pay the bills.
Yeah.
My husband's a musician. He has other jobs other than being a teacher and a musician in a band. So it is not for the faint of heart um, to be in the arts at all, and you know this is true in any of, if you're a dancer, if you're a writer, you know, it's tough.
So what would you tell us, you know, younger artists, like what would you tell us to be prepared for, or what to expect?
Be prepared for failure.
Yeah.
Be prepared. It is not going to be anything but bumpy, because that's just life. But if you decide, you say, okay, yeah, I like art, it's fine, but I want to make some money. I'm going to go into I don't know what makes money, Broderick. I'm an artist.
Yeah, these days.
Here, name something.
Coding, you know.
Coding. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to be a coder. Are you going to be fulfilled? Can you compartmentalize doing your art on the side, or maybe never doing it again? To, you know, it's a trade-off.
It is.
It's just a trade-off.
And that's one of the challenging parts that we've been experiencing. I know for myself, I'm gonna speak on myself, but you know, working a job, because I'm in the technical support field,
Right.
and I get to talk to a lot of people, so there's a lot of customer service infusions with that, and it's cool and all, but I feel like I'm not living in my purpose.
Right.
But I do know that this is a means to an end, that's what they say. This is necessary for right now.
It is.
So I can keep on investing in myself, investing in my knowledge, my growth, and also equipment and whatnot. And just getting better and being, you know, connected with more people and networking more as well, so that one day it could be what I can just do.
Yes.
I don't have to worry about, you know, finances anymore.
You're always going to have to worry about I mean, that's just the nature of our society. We got to worry about paying the rent. We got to worry about paying the mortgage. And there are more lucrative fields to go in.
Yeah.
You know, the number of people who are high up in our individual areas, it's a small point at the top of the mountain there. There are not too many people that can stand up there. So you've got to have a passion for it, and it's got to feel real. But I tell you, when I first met you, you were working at a car dealership, and I was in to get my car serviced, and I met you, and I saw a spark in you. I felt a spark from you immediately. You know, you know, I was like, okay, I think this dude might be one of my tribe. And I gave you a business card, and we said, hey, are you on Insta? Yeah, let's follow each other. And you have to do that all of your life.
Yeah.
You have to find your tribe. You have to find like-minded people who are positive, who have a spark, who have great energy. Do not latch on to those negative people. Back off from that stuff, and latch on to people like you.
See, thank you for saying that, because one, I appreciate the compliment, but then two, like, that's just good for people to know, because especially as we get more involved in what we're passionate about, you know, we notice as we get older as well. I've been noticing that our circle does get smaller.
It does.
You know,
it
that's
does.
just naturally what happens, and it's so important for you to watch what your environment is. You know,
it is.
And so, can you talk more on that? Like, what have you had to do? You know, getting older and getting more developed and more stable in your creations. But what have you had to do personally? You know, to be more at zen, more at peace, so you can make all this beautiful art.
You just simplify, and you quit listening to the noises that are negative. You just you have those golden people in your life. You know, let's just say you've got 5 golden people, and then you walk around and you meet other people, and they're just sort of out there in your universe, in your, you know, and you connect with them and you lift each other up. You know, it I don't know, it sounds like it's just so simple.
Right, it always does though.
But staying positive and surrounding yourself with positive people, and just genuinely loving your fellow man.
Do you have any methods for, like, do you do any mindfulness practices or any like meditation or anything like that helps you get in a certain attitude or, you know, I guess posture when it comes to your art? or
Listening to music.
Okay, so that's your form of meditation.
That's my meditation.
Yeah.
That's my in the moment. I cannot, I will tell you, I went to a meditation class and I sat there and I was with these
Oh,
women.
no. I thought you were having fun.
And I got nauseated. And I said, excuse me, I think I'm gonna throw up. And they were like, what is wrong with her? She
Yeah.
can't meditate. It makes her wanna throw up. Well, I can't meditate, but I can listen to music and I'm in the moment and it connects me
Yeah.
to the eternal. And I'm a spiritual person. I am not necessarily in a totally traditional way,
Yeah.
even though I was raised very traditionally. But I do believe in eternity and the nature of our eternal spirits. And it makes me so happy, and it makes me happy to be in this body, in this life, and I want to use it to my best ability.
First of all, like, once again, thank you. This is amazing. I have one final question for you, and that is just the total cliche question. If you had a choice to go back in time, change things, let me say it again. If you had the opportunity to go back in time, alter anything, or change any habits or moments in your life, would you have done that?
No. All the stupid decisions I made, I learned from. I'd love to say that I could go back and I didn't make this mistake with money, or I didn't make this mistake with my time, or no, absolutely not. We are who we are because of our experience in life, and I wouldn't change a thing. I would not change a thing.
So I wish you didn't say that, because that brings me to another question then.
You told me that was
No, not anymore.
Dude.
I changed my mind.
Dude.
I changed my mind. So, going with that then, choices. Then this is the last question. So, what choice do you think was the choice that you had to make to be where you're at today? Because I feel like there's that one point, everyone has that one part or a couple points in their lives where they're like, all right, I gotta stick to this. Or this is for me, or this is not for me. I know you said when you're 5 years old.
Five.
Yeah, so you knew that was the choice right there.
It
at
was.
5.
It was.
And you stuck with that your whole life.
It was recognizing who I was and my purpose for being a human being on the planet.
Wow. And that's why you wouldn't change anything?
No. I'm not saying I hadn't made terrible mistakes,
Well, you gotta embrace that though, right?
but you have to embrace the mistakes you made and know that you're gonna learn more from mistakes than from successes. You really are. You go out and blow $5,000 on something stupid, and then you have a medical bill come up. You're gonna remember that,
Yes, you are.
you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that we're all here for our journey, and the more we can understand and learn about ourselves and learn about caring for our fellow human beings on the planet, the happier lives we will live, whether we're an artist or a ditch digger.
Well, Ms. Karen Adams, thank you so much for this. We appreciate your time, and thank you for the wisdom you shared with us.
You are so welcome, and you make me so happy for having me be with you today.
So, I know I said that was the last question, but do you, I know, I gotta do it, do you have anything else you want to share with us? Anything that is of your purpose, that you want to share with us?
You mean you want me to bestow some wisdom?
Just drop a little bit, just a little sprinkle.
Oh shit, I knew I was gonna have to come up with something good.
Yes.
It just sounds corny. It's just all about love. It's just, if we could just tap into that part of us that is about love and not about judgment and competition, and I just think and it's just so rote, and it's been said so many times.
It's important.
I think it's important. And quite frankly, I can't come up with anything more profound at the moment.
That's enough.
But love is pretty profound. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you, man.
Appreciate you.
Oh, you're so awesome.
Cool.
Thank
So I guess we're good.
you. Yep.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Good.